COVID-19 lockdowns have essentially turned the switch off for a lot of people around the world to be able to create revenue. The music industry and artists of all kinds have been affected. In this week's episode, we talk to heavyweight artists and legends about how this has affected their career and what, if anything, we can learn from it. Let's go.
I'm a man who used to have money. I'm a man who was very independent. And all my money due to COVID is gone.
For a while, when it hit, I was like, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? It was such confusion. How am I going to make money? How am I going to pay the bills? It was so uncertain.
So first, it affected me mentally because we had these crazy plans, I had a lot of trips planned. And this was supposed to be the year where I was supposed to be out there in the world recording some of my favorite artists and producers, different countries in Europe and the States. And I found myself at home.
In isolation, I'm just home, I'm not gigging, I'm not doing anything, So as people know, a big part of us as artists, where we make our money, most of our money is shows, So obviously there's no shows, you understand me? So the business is not doing well.
I started getting despondent, waking up in the mornings like there's no gigs. It's just been announced now that we can't perform anymore. Where do I perform? Because this is the only thing that I know, it's music, And this is how I put bread and butter on the table. What do I do?
I had to cancel over like 50 shows. But at the same time, when it came, I'm someone who doesn't like dwelling on something that I have no control over. So when this pandemic came and then it was announced that it's lockdown, I knew that we had to adjust to it.
I released my album on the 27th of March, which was the first day of lockdown. I did a lot of live streams, a lot of interviews on my laptop and on my phone. I had lights at my house. I had a stand. So yeah, it's been very difficult on the fact that I couldn't promote my album the traditional way.
We're living in really crazy times, and really, you can't fault anyone right now for the decisions they make because everyone is sort of in a panic, sort of in survival mode. What do I do now? How do I continue? How do I have a career after this?
And you drive past a queue of people at the post office and they're getting this 350 Rand grant from the government. And you say, where's the queue for musicians? There's no queue. And I don't think there ever will be.
The real crisis is not with the music industry, it's not with the game, it's just with South Africa as a whole, because it just becomes better, way bigger than that.
There's a lot of injustice going on. There are lots of people who are feeling this anger inside them because I'm angry, not at people, not at COVID. I'm just angry for the whole situation that's going on and how many people are suffering as a result of that.
It's bigger than me, it's bigger than everyone. There's other people who are less privileged, that don't even know what they're gonna eat. You understand what I'm trying to say? Me and my girl, we decided to do some things like cooking soup, going to the township, give people, the food, just to play a part with the little that I have, but let me share because it's tough, you understand?
I'm in the same boat, but I feel that I still have the strength to share knowledge with them, and how can I arm them to be in a position where they could put bread and butter on their table.
I feel like there's artists now that are going through the most because of this lockdown, but it was gonna happen anyway, whether it was lockdown or not, because of maybe they were not looking after their finances or you were not expanding yourself. So I think this has taught us to be able to always prepare for the worst. Because once you can't prepare for the best, or you must prepare for the worst, you understand?
So we don't want to reach the stage where we're going to say, oh, Corona did this, Rona did this. Yes, it did it to us. We can see what it's doing to us. What are you going to do about it?
I had one choice, either to really dwell on it and just, let it just depress me or like find a way and adapt.
There's been good and there's been bad. You know, I have a little setup at home where I can record my stuff, you know, like a little studio room kind of thing. You know, I love that time. You know, I love the amount of time I get to sort of step into that room and kind of, you know, just experiment. You know, the introspection part and just the playing around with the music has really affected me positively and somewhat strangely, you know, because I've sort of reached or am doing things that I'm like, I don't think I'd do this in February.
I've turned that energy, you know, into me just trying to do a lot of introspection, because I believe that the best conversations that you can ever have is with yourself.
I believe in finding beauty in chaos, you know. So I really locked myself in the studio and create as much as I can. And I believe it's some of the best music I've ever made. I
started making music again. You know, that's the silver lining. I started connecting with myself again. I went home, so I had everything that said Amanda around me, and that's sort of how I pulled myself out of that darkness. And I found solace in telling the stories of how I feel right now and what's going on emotionally, spiritually in my life, not knowing what's going to happen.
And so I taught myself to unlearn my fears through my music. I'm fighting to get the old Pops Mohamed back, and he's slowly coming back with a bang.
It's like, I think the entire concept of the pandemic is to teach us about introspection generally.
You need to talk to yourself. That's where a lot of healing needs to take place.
I think the silver lining around it was all these things that I learned, you know, while being in lockdown, how to shoot my own videos, how to do live streams at home. It was an interesting way of promoting an album from the comfort of your own home, instead of being in some hotel and going from city to city. So it definitely had its ups and downs.
I think the whole world is generally just has gone inside itself and its creations also, you know. We've always had platforms. There was always Instagram, there was always YouTube, there was always these things, you know, and they mattered. But I think now they kind of not only play an advertising role, but they play like a platform for the content, because those people that are buying are directly here. It's not now a byproduct of who I am outside the world. It's the thing, you know. So you kind of treat it with a little bit more respect and a little bit more care. It's not coming at a place where you can just figure it out while you're doing what you normally do, you know. You kind of just have to adapt or not exist, and you hope you break through, you know, because everybody's on social media now. I mean, what do you do really if you're not on there?
What I did is just shifted the focus of my business into brand partnerships and music for brands. So far that has worked out, keeping me busy, and I think you need to understand your strength as an artist, which for me has always been songwriting, and you need to be able to understand all aspects of it and how to be able to maximize on it.
Another lesson was that you can't do one thing. That was another lesson. It was a lesson of, I know you love the music, I know you all about the music, that's what I came here to do. As the businesswoman, as my CEO of my own record label, I sort of had to come back, artist, business mode. You need other revenue streams. So I wouldn't say it changed how I charge, but it definitely changed what I charge for. So not just performing now. It's, hey, what do you want me to do? You want me to say hi? Because that's the hustle right now. The hustle is whatever this face can get, whatever this voice can do right now, you go do it, because it's real.
I think a lot of us are just waiting for something to happen so that we get back to what we know. And in my head, I've always been like, well, what if it doesn't, you know? So kind of adapt fully and adapt, you know, and completely sort of give yourself to the adapting, you know.
Rakive has said to you that every musician is his own industry. You got to make your mojo work. If you believe in yourself, people will believe in you.
M Studios Live, brought to you by Old Mutual.